Today we're looking at the Chinese AI models, and I'm going to answer 2 questions for you. The first one is going to be whether or not they have a chance at capturing any significant market share in the US consumer space. Real quick answer, I will go in depth later. No, they have no chance at all, none whatsoever. Second question is going to be why. I'm going to answer why Chinese companies have all of a sudden, seemingly pivoted towards closed proprietary models. Okay, some people have asked me this in the comments. Today I'm going to answer why. But first, I got to welcome you to Ruben Tech, where we meet at the intersection of tech and finance. Please be sure to like and subscribe down below. Okay, first question is the easy one. I'm going to answer that. There's 2 reasons why they have absolutely no shot in the consumer market over here, and they know it. They're not really making a push. Is that simply put, the large part of the consumer market, okay, you have to have information about them. They're not techies. They're not looking at the latest, greatest AI features, rankings, et cetera, et cetera. They're just casual users, not power users. This is the large majority of the market. I would say when it comes to AI, it's probably like 85, 90%. Okay? And the simple thing is when it comes to capturing these people, as we have seen in the past, as I keep saying, as it has played out every single time, okay, is by having their information already, leveraging products you already have, and creating an ecosystem that keeps them locked in. And that's why in the AI consumer space, Meta and Google are going to have a leg up on everybody because they're gatekeepers. And if Apple was to ever decide that they want to actually get into it with their own models, they'll have a leg up also. And for China to have any shot at all, they would have to replicate what these people have in America for their ecosystems. So no, I'm not talking about China. I'm not talking about the rest of the world. I'm talking about America. Because a lot of people comment and they think China's going to take over the consumer market in America. It's never going to happen, ever. Basically, they would have to control the phone space like Android and iOS. They would have to have 13 apps of 1 billion plus users like Google. They would have to have a social network, with billions of users like Facebook. That includes the entire American market. And it has the highest user engagement across the apps that we've ever seen. You can't aspect one of it. Someone's like, what about Elon and Twitter? That's one thing. These companies have multiple layers that they control at every single thing. They'd have to have the #1 browser in America, like Chrome. They're not going to be able to replicate that. Simply put, it's the same problem. It's the same problem that OpenAI and Anthropic faced in a way. But it's even greater because of the second reason, which is that the US government would never let them have that kind of leg in America, even if they wanted to. So even if the Chinese companies wanted to, which they don't, they're not going to go ahead and create all that over here. But let's say that they did. The US government would never allow them to do that. They're not going to allow them to have the breadth and the depth of a Google in America. It's never going to happen. I mean, I was just reading, they're debating whether Chinese LiDAR can come over here. You think that they're going to allow them to build a literal Chinese Google in America? Where they have Android and Chrome, and Google gets in trouble for that, and they're an American company. So yeah, they have no shot at all of capturing any significant portion of the American space. Consumer space, sorry. Business is something else. Now, second thing. Why are the Chinese all of a sudden seemingly pivoting towards closed ways, proprietary models? Well, the answer to this lies in what I told you they would do 15 months ago. And it's simply put, the fact that as we saw with Sun Microsystems under Jonathan Schwartz in the early 2000s, open source only works to a point as a business plan. Now, I had somebody who was a big free software advocate on my page. He wrote this beautiful scathing thing towards me, but it was worded so well. It was just beautiful. I actually did a video on it. But you have these fundamentalists like this who believe in it, and their principles and heart are absolutely in the right place. It's kind of like the golden rule. Imagine the golden rule. If people lived by it, truly everybody lived by the golden rule, we would be in a paradise. This goes with the free source, foundationalist people, right? So if we could live by someone who truly believes in all the principles of free software, right? And we had everything was copyleft, the entire world would benefit and we would be in a software paradise. But the simple fact is that's not the way things work. Okay? Human greed, money, emotion, et cetera, always gets in the way. And that's what happened when we saw with Sun Microsystems when they tried to really appease everybody with open source. And then they watched as their competitors took all of their open source innovation, built proprietary blobs around it, and then stole their customers away. And it was only fitting that for somebody like Jonathan Schwartz, who was really trying to do what I believe was the right thing at the time, got crushed. His company got crushed and bought out by the human-hating Oracle, right? Oracle, the worst company when it comes to freedom ever in the entire world. Oracle, that hates the concept of human freedom, came across and just crushed. And you think I'm smiling because I've enjoyed it, but it's just the irony of it. It just goes to show you how this world works. Okay? It's just what it is. And so the Chinese saw that. They're not dumb. They know that open source works when you use it kind of like a Google does to control and commoditize a market to a point, but that you never get to this mythical Narnia. You're never going to get to that heaven. And so smartly, as I said, they would go ahead and they would work towards the commoditization of AI. I even stated many times that I thought that Alphabet and Meta, they wouldn't mind that either. But at some certain point, they would have to start pivoting because AI is too important, i.e. you cannot release all your best innovations to your competitors because they will leverage that against you. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Just a couple of weeks ago, DeepSeek released yet another innovation called DSpark. Now, when they release these things, we don't know whether the proprietary companies have these changes or not. It's possible that OpenAI already was using methods similar to DSpark, but we wouldn't know it because OpenAI doesn't release their innovations back. But we do know is that DeepSeek saw it and they chose to release it. And on the surface, it looks like all these amazing things. But now let's assume that OpenAI did not know about these methods at all. I think that would be a tough sell, but let's assume that they didn't. They get to take these, optimize their platforms even more, reduce their cost, okay? And then they can build on top of it and they don't have to release any of that back. So they can improve upon it and they have no obligation to release it back. Now, there is this thing called copyleft where you do have to release it back. But companies rarely release anything under copyleft because then other companies won't adopt it. It ends up being a dead end. Again, the whole Narnia situation. You have to be practical. And so this is the issue going forward. And so just a few weeks ago, we heard that OpenAI had their own method apparently for cutting inferencing by half. But nobody can verify it because they're not going to tell anybody. They're not going to tell anybody because it's not in their best interest for a Google or for a Meta or for their Anthropic to adopt these methods and improve their processes. OpenAI is going to keep that secret to themselves. Now, understand, I'm not saying proprietary software is a better way to go. I'm saying there's a balance between the two. And what I think, as I predicted, that China would find, hey, we want to commoditize the market to a point. But at some point, we also have to start turning a profit ourselves. At some point, Beijing was never going to subsidize the world. I don't know why people thought Beijing was going to subsidize the entire world. They're not. They have to make a profit like everybody else. We have to make a profit. And two, even deeper than that, national security. This is going to be possibly the most important technology ever. Do we really want to give all of our best information away? Of course not. Which is why you're seeing a pivot towards these closed proprietary models from GLM and from Quinn in China now. Does that mean they're done with open source? Of course not. They're still going to be releasing open research. They're still going to be releasing open weights, et cetera, et cetera. But the whole point is that they're slowly but surely going to be closing it off too. And so for all those people that thought we were going to get to Narnia, I hate to say it, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. it doesn't ever work like that. And that isn't me trying to rain on your parade. It's just me looking back and seeing how it's always worked in software for the past 30 years. And just like I predicted, now we're seeing it here. China has been leading the world in open source innovation in the AI space over the past few years. There's no question about that. Go on Hugging Face, their open weight models are the most downloaded. Top 10's probably, if I brought it up, it'd be like 90% Chinese. But they're not just going to keep giving away all this innovation forever. Okay? Because they have to participate and play in the game too. And so that's what I got for you today. Let me know what you think about this and my take in the comments down below. And all of you out there, have a great day.